Hi, welcome to Tales of Dread. Since I can remember, I've seen bright lights in the sky. When I was very young, I remember looking out my window and seeing a light shine into my room. The next thing I remember, I was in this bed. I can only remember a clear being coming into my room. It looked like the outline of a person who had static electricity. Do you know what those white lines are? You can see something similar at a crime scene where someone was killed, but instead of a white line, it looked like electricity. I don't remember ever feeling fear. I do remember feeling like I couldn't move, and the air was full of and thick with static, just like when a storm is coming. I remember this thing coming up to me while I was sleeping and putting up its arm. The next thing I remember, I was on a table-like structure with these same people all around me. I couldn't really tell you where I was because, to be honest, I don't remember. I don't remember much about that time. I remember being back in my bed when I woke up. I felt like I was missing something. There was something wrong. I couldn't quite figure out what it was. I was only 7 years old when this happened. Outside, these lights would come on and off for many years. I was brought home from the hospital and raised in the same house. I moved out when I was 19 and haven't had the same experiences with the lights since. However, I felt like I needed therapy after that one night because it hurt me so much emotionally. I'm not sure if what happened to me was so bad that my brain forgot about it. I only know that I still feel empty and hopeless. I lost something that I will never get back. I really want to know what it is. Some people might think it's crazy, but I'm sure there must be someone else out there who has had a similar experience. Thank you for listening. This happened in the year 2009. I was only 21 at the time, and a group of my friends and I had just started drinking a lot. We were all drunk and having the best night of our lives on Lake Okeechobee in Florida. I've been to this lake before, so I knew my way around. My brother was with us, so he was the designated driver. He didn't drink, as you might have guessed. We didn't plan to spend the whole night there. No, only until it was too late for my brother to stay up any longer. We were having a great time drinking and hanging out by the lake when a bright blue light appeared right above us. I was so busy talking that I didn't even notice it. All of my friends seemed to drop their beers together with their mouths wide open. My brother was also scared. When we all looked up, we saw this bright ball that was giving off a very bright blue light. It wasn't clear what it was, it just shone like a ball of light. It stopped for a moment about 50 feet above us and then flew around the lake. Afterwards, it went in many different directions before taking off into the night sky. It would shine bright and then dim down at all different times. The light it gave off, on the other hand, was very bright. We were still scared, but I thought we were all on drugs until my brother, who was sober, told me he had seen it too. I don't know if it was an alien UFO or something else, but it was a very strange thing to happen to me when I was a kid. I think one of my friends stopped coming to school for a while when we were in the 4th or 5th grade. There's a lot more to it than that. It was around fall, and the next thing I knew, I no longer saw him at school. A few weeks later, I went to his house, and I remember that the police were there. His parents looked very upset, and I really thought he had died when he was a child. I didn't try to do anything, I just lived my life. No one in school or among friends would talk about it. He must have just disappeared, I guess. Nobody knew what became of him. Life just went on. After that, I never went back to his house again. I remember that it was almost time for summer break when spring and summer came back around. I remember going to school and being scared when I saw him there. They all were? We all wanted to ask him a lot of questions, but our teachers strongly discouraged us from doing so. They asked us to be sensitive and pleaded with us not to ask anything. We tried to go on with class as much as possible. I don't remember asking him where he had been for the past school year until we were walking home together after school. He became shy and said he didn't want to talk about it. After that, I let it go. It wasn't until high school years later. He finally told me what happened to him. Before he did, he told me I wouldn't believe a word he said, but I was able to change his mind. He went on to tell me that he woke up in a strange white room one night. He said that it had a strange glow. He said that these strange-looking men locked him up in this room and watched him almost like an animal. He told me he was scared but that it had only been a few hours. He thought, he said, that these strange, multicolored lights would pass over him several times in this room. He had no idea what was happening. He said that the next thing he remembered was waking up in the same bed and clothes he was wearing when he went missing. After 7 months, his parents were sure he was dead, had been taken, was being sold, etc. He said that the police were now involved, that he had to tell what happened. His parents didn't know what to think, and the police didn't know what to do. He doesn't know where he was taken or who took him, and he doesn't believe in the paranormal or UFOs, so he doesn't even know how to explain it. He's been out of college for a long time now, and his life is pretty normal. But I'll always believe that he was taken by a UFO and held prisoner. When I was driving home from work late one night, I saw what I can only call a UFO. I've never met anything strange or unknown before. My house is 30 miles from the nearest main road and in the middle of nowhere. So I could get to work. I have to drive for at least 45 minutes just to get to the main highway, and then I have to drive a bit further to get to where I need to go. I work at a small store, and that night I was closing up. Since I usually get off around 9:30, this happened around 10 p.m. in March of last year. I was driving back up the long road to my house, and at some point I remember looking out the window of the passenger side of my car and seeing a light in the sky with an odd shape. I just thought it was a plane, but I thought it was odd because there are never any planes or other things like that where I live. It moved so slowly that it almost seemed like it wasn't moving at all. I thought that was strange. So as I'm driving, I kept looking over at it. It looked like it was slowly moving across the sky at night. I tried to look and see if I could make out the shape or outline of a plane, but I couldn't. This thing starts going fast right away. I've never seen a plane ever fly. After letting this sink in for a while, I thought to myself, did I just see a UFO? No way. I finally realized that it was a UFO of some kind. This happened in the year 2005. Since the day it happened, it's been bothering me. I did design work for a small graphic design firm at the time. I worked there this night. I worked late to get a project done. I had things I needed to do for the next day. The project had a strict due date. I was friends with the company's owner, so he didn't really mind how late I worked. I remember leaving work around midnight, with my design project finished and ready to go for the next day. Outside, it was pouring down rain. I mean, it was really raining hard. About halfway home, the rain stopped, and I could see a little better as I pulled into my neighborhood, which is very well lit with streetlights and other things. I see a strange object floating in the air about 200 feet or higher. It looked like this strange black cube-shaped building. I don't know how else to say it. It was pretty big and just floating there without moving at all. At one place. It was in the air. It looked like it was carved with strange designs, like it was made of obsidian or something. It looked like stone, but some of it was shiny. It looked like it was made from a natural material. I actually stopped my car just so I could stick my head out the driver's window and look at it. I'm looking at it and thinking, what the hell? Then it starts to spin quickly, takes off quickly, and disappears. I just couldn't believe what I saw. I was in my neighborhood at the time, and it never made a sound or gave off any kind of light. It was after midnight, and there wasn't much noise. Nothing else, no other cars, no dogs barking, nothing. This thing didn't make any noise at all. I sat in the middle of the road with my head still out the window, trying to figure out what I had just seen. I can't get what I saw out of my mind. I didn't know who to talk to or who to tell. I haven't really talked to anyone else about it. Just because they didn't want to be laughed at or thought to be crazy. I have a pretty good job, and I don't want to risk anything going down the drain. I have looked into the black cube phenomenon before, but I could only find a few pieces of information here and there. About what do you all know? Just a few miles south of San Diego, a few of my close friends and I saw this strange orb-shaped object. All along the coast. It looked like a shiny, black ball. Back in 2015, this happened. I've been looking into this, but I haven't been able to find much information about what we saw. We can only call it an orb because it was so big. It didn't let any light in. Almost everything about it looked like it was made of black marble. It looked shiny and had strange patterns going all the way across it. I know this kind of thing doesn't happen very often, but I don't know what else to say about what we all saw. It was just out there floating above the water. It looked big and like it was off the coast, just a little bit. It didn't move, so I'm sure other people saw it too, since it was daytime.